today, the things that I highlighted were going to be around messaging, around your campaign plan. So, like, what is the combination of things that you want to do in the next 2 months that is going to help you get to those minimum of 10 new donors? So, thinking about the plan, talking a little bit, if we want to, about monthly giving, and then really, I want to open up the door for the questions you guys have. You are here, so I want to give you the chance to help shape what we focus on today. So let me just ask the question about messaging. So when you think about round 2 messaging, what are some of your thoughts about how that's going to be different? What are the key ideas of how you're going to shift from round 1 communication to donors to round 2? So what are some of your thoughts just off the top of your head? And unmute yourself because we're a small group and, everyone can just chime in. I don't think there's any dogs and cats barking and screaming. We're good.
Well, I just met with someone who's been a donor, so he won't be a new donor. But I met with him today. He's an easy conversation. So let me say that. So my approach with him was simply to ask him if he's been receiving our emails thus far, if he's read them, and he said yes. I asked him if he so in reading those, have you understood what our focus for the Impact Multiplied is, and the thing we're focused on? And he said he wasn't. I hope she's not. There you are. And so I explained our newest thing that we're most excited about, where we train a whole district to do what we do, and then we just let them go. And told him what a great start we had in round 1, and told him what our minimum goal was for round 2, but what I really wanted to hit and how we needed to hit 10 new donors, monthly donors. And I said, and you don't qualify for that, but just so you know what we're doing. And so when I walked away, he said, well, I got to talk to my wife, but we do plan to give this year, and we plan to give more than we gave last year. So those were some of the elements. Our excitement about how well round 1 went, and what our specific, and I did talk about how the micro grant fit into round 1 and into moving forward. So I did all of that. So that was my approach with him, and that'll be similar with everyone else. What the micro grant does, how excited we are about how far we are, and then emphasize the 10. Well, if they're not already a donor, emphasize the need for the 10 new monthly donors.
So you do have an emphasis. You did a great job of, with a current donor, explaining kind of your goal of the 10 new. And even though he's not there, he's committing to give to you, which, because all of you have gone above and beyond the 2,500, bring in current donors as well, which is, so you kept forward the goal of the 10. So he could be thinking about that, and he's going to give, because all of you have room for even current donors to give in round 2 that maybe didn't give in round 1 to match what was raised in round 1. So that's excellent, Kim, that you're communicating, you need 10 new donors, and you emphasized monthly. So, that is a benefit to you all. We're not saying you have to have monthly donors. Just want to make sure that's clear. When we say new donors, we mean a new donor, but we encourage you to go to monthly because it's going to pay off.
Heather, you are muted, I think. Or did I just, nope, was that just me?
No,
No.
I can't.
Okay, yeah,
No, we lost her.
nope.
We lost Heather's mic.
I've lost her picture too.
I've got her picture.
Yeah, I can see her, and I can see she's muting and unmuting, but it's still not working.
Yeah. I wonder if it shifted from her microphone shifted away from her headphones or from the,
Maybe so.
nope. I know, and you're doing a great job. But we still can't hear you.
I hear you. Do you hear me now?
hear you.
Back, yes,
There you are.
Okay. So yeah, for some reason, I can't bring my big old microphone that I normally use. And so my computer's confused. I don't know why it shifted, but all right. So I stopped. Thank you for telling me that you couldn't hear me, because reading my lips might not be the best way to go. So just emphasizing that monthly donors is a good way to go. It's a benefit to you guys. It's not a requirement. Is that clear to all of you? How many of you are either building a monthly donor program, or that's your main focus, is you're trying to get monthly donors in your monthly donor program?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, yep, Daniel. Kelly, is that are you in the same?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little, I probably need to have a conversation with Jonathan about this, just because I need a lot more money than this grant. And so I'm trying to, and year end, I'll have a $25,000 matching grant. And so like kind of, so I'm thinking I really want to focus on monthly donors in this one to get this amount. And focus. So I'll work with Jonathan and like, how do I not get people confused, even though I'll have two campaigns going, so.
Yeah, well,
This-
and when you say year end,
Yeah,
sorry, say that again.
but that's why I will use this campaign for monthly donors. Since I work in the 1040 window, I was thinking of saying I need 10 donors at $40 a month, so.
Yeah, so, one of the things I'd really encourage, if you haven't done it before, look at the training that we do on monthly donors. We just did one online. We've done them often in person, but we just did the first one online and we have it recorded. I think I noted that in my email, because a good monthly donor program is, people really build sustainable long-term income with a good monthly donor program. But having recurring giving and a monthly donor program is not the same thing. Just having recurring giving doesn't mean that people feel like they're connected to something, that they're doing something that makes a difference, especially if they're giving a small amount. They have this feeling like, I'm not making a difference. So what a good monthly donor program does is it basically says, if you give as little as this with no upper end, then you can make a difference, because the whole group, we're a community of monthly donors, and we're getting it all done. So instead of it being an individual donor that is going to give you $2,000, so that's a different ask. And so Kelly, for you, the year end ask, I would really focus that after December 3rd and start hitting year end communication that is looking for one-time givers. So your communication shifts from monthly donor, we're trying to raise it. And all of you guys, I would not make 10 your number. That's the minimum. But none of you, 10, if you have $100 per month someone gives, that's, you have, all you need is 4.5 people. So that's not really the goal, because we want you to have 10 donors to hit your 5,000.
So shoot big, especially if you have a big number to get to. No, I don't mean shoot unrealistic, but make it realistic, but shoot towards something that you feel is achievable. And then if you hit it, say, we're going to extend it. And that is one thing that I have put in, I'm trying to remember which training it was, but House of Refuge did that a couple of times where they said, we want our next 25 monthly donors. And then when they hit it, they said, great news, we've hit it. We're going to expand it because, you know, with regular monthly giving, we can meet these other needs as well. And so they really celebrated reaching the goal, and then they expanded the goal. And people love success. So don't make it so big that you won't hit it. It's impossible. And don't make it so small that you hit it, you know, in the middle of October because you met with 5 people and boom, you know, you've hit your dollar number and now you just have 5 more people to do. So that's a prayerful thing. So I really encourage, if you're focusing on monthly donor, take a look at what is the 1 or 2 things that I could do to really make an attractive monthly donor program that's there. And so one thing I would say, Kelly, is, you know, to message $40 a month, you either are going to, there's going to be some people go, that's too much for me. And some people go, oh gosh, I could give more than that. So monthly donor programs usually give for as little as, and people give as much as. And that really opens the door. And I am not a fan of saying for $25, you're going to help us, you know, feed these people. And for $50, you're going to help us build that thing, because that creates donor discouragement versus we're going to do it all. So some of the examples I've sent out around this, it says our monthly donor program, we do, you know, we can do with our monthly donor program, we accomplish this. And it tells all the impacts of what your monthly people are contributing to. So it makes everyone feel like they're doing something significant, even if they're giving $10 a month, or if they're giving $200 a month, they see it that way. So there are some very good examples that we highlight. My favorite is the spring, but there's a lot of other ones. But the spring, they're always saying for as little as $10 a month, and then boom, if you go away from that page where you're looking at it, they go, you know, $5 a month you could do. So that's not on their sheet, but they're just saying, do something, be a part of our community. And a lot of people doing a little makes a huge impact. And especially for you guys, because you're building sustainable, budgetable dollars. And so we'd rather even you say, I have 10 people at $10, not Kelly, that's going to hit your goal, but new people that stay with you for 10, 15, 20 years. And every year they start to increase because they see the impact of what you're doing. Rather than go, okay, I've got, you know, I squeaked out 10 people who gave me $40, and then 2 people drop next year, and then 2 people year after. So take a look at that. I think monthly donor programs are really the secret sauce for small organizations. For most, may not be for everybody, but I think it is really significant. Questions or comments on monthly donors and just that whole messaging around monthly or new? How many monthly donors do each of you have currently? So, you know, from, you know, Kim, you guys have been around, you've been focusing on this. So how many monthly donors do you have? And Tatiana and Daniel, think about it from an organizational side rather than your support side, because they've kind of got this dual thing where they also are missionaries that raise support. But how many monthly donors do you have in your organization currently?
I'm going to say we have 40 regular donors and probably 25 of those are monthly. I'm guessing because I'd have to go back and check that.
Yep. So 25, you go, okay, we've got our 25, so we're looking for our next 15 or our next 20 to say, how do we do that? And this is one group I really recommend people tracking how many monthly donors, because that's, bread and butter is regular, consistent income coming in. Okay, others, what do you have?
I have 8.
Okay, good.
We
So
have
you,
about
how many, Tatiana?
15 to 20.
Do you know?
And we have about 20.
So yeah, so if you're under 10 now, I would make 10, 12, or 15 your goal. You don't have to tell people how many you have. But you're going to be focusing on that. If you're at 20, 25, I would push it 15, 20, or 25, like double. Try to get that next set of group, really pushing it to say this is, and why is it the best way for people to give? And that's another thing that's in that training, is it highlights from a donor's perspective. It's less admin for them. They don't have to, every time they go in to give, put new information in. It's reduced admin costs, so more money goes to the programming of it. So there's a lot of benefits that you can say, this is the best way for you to give. Helps us be able to plan. It helps you to make a bigger impact over time, and you're a part of our team. So that's what you want people to understand. Why monthly? Why is that the best choice for them to make the biggest impact? And it's even something they can plan. They can put it. Most of our society has moved to subscriptions. People are really familiar with subscriptions now. So most of our subscriptions are stuff that helps us. But this is, I've seen a number of people message it as, this is a subscription that helps you help others, helps you give back. So giving you a chance. Anything else on monthly giving, or on specifically new givers?
I know that this may be an offline conversation, so just tell me, but I have so many, because this is the third organization I've I've had to raise support for. I have so many lapsed givers, like people who don't give anymore. They were with the last organization, but when I moved, they didn't come with me. Would those count as new givers, or are you looking for complete new?
Yeah, this year we made it super clear, saying never have given to your organization. However, Jonathan has already had 2 calls. I haven't had any this year yet, where people said, I had a person that gave, like, I don't even know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that gave once. And we just ran into them, and they're interested to give monthly. And Jonathan said, that's an example of a time when you talk to us and we can say, yes, this is a time where you say that. It gets a little questionable when you're talking about 2 years. We don't call lapsed yet.
Yeah.
We really say you're trying to re-engage them at 2 years. But again, all of you have you have a match that's greater than 2,500. So don't discourage those people, continue to say that, but you're specifically looking for new givers, so that's where your messaging is. You want people to see the match. And if you're saying we've got 7,500, $7,500, yeah, $7,500 that is going to be matched for the first group for the full year. So that's one of the differences in the communication this time, is you're just telling them we have a match. You created it in round 1. You don't even have to talk about round 1 to them. I mean, you can, Kim, as you did, if you're talking to somebody that's a face-to-face, but you say, hey, we raised a match with some of our most committed champions on our board or donors, and an outside organization that believes in us, that chose us. We have a match that now we will invite you to participate in. And we're looking for at least 10 new people, and we're looking for monthly donors. So thinking about how do you emphasize that? Because, you know, if you're gonna hit 7,500, or Kelly, in your case, you're trying to do a $5,000 match, you're gonna need more than probably just 10 new people. But for many people in their messaging,
So, yeah.
oh, did you? Yeah, yeah, total, sorry. Yeah, you have your 5,000 plus the 2,500. Yeah, so, you know, saying to people for the first, you know, for the first $7,500 that's given, it will be matched for a year for monthly donors. So you're emphasizing monthly, you're emphasizing the first 7,500. And honestly, if you keep messaging that, you get to the end of October and you go, man, we only have 6 new, but we have 20 people that started giving because of the match. Now you start to target in November, where can I find more new? So we're going to have this same capacity building in November, where we can talk more about where do we find new people if you've exhausted some of that. So for now, your messaging, you really want to emphasize, we're looking for monthly, we've got this match, and for the first 7, you know, whatever your match is, 10,000, whatever that number is, for the first people that give to that amount, it will be matched for a whole year for monthly givers. So you're pushing monthly, you're telling them the amount, and you're giving them a sense of urgency, because the sense is, gosh, I don't want to miss out on that. But it's the first responders. So that helps a bit. Does that help you in kind of thinking what you're talking about, Kelly?
Yeah.
Good questions. Welcome, Jared. We're glad that you got to jump on too. Okay, so you know, that's there. Now, messaging. I put out a bunch of, you know, I pointed at the different messaging for round 2. Who has already gone in and looked at either a PowerPoint or looked at some examples? Would it be helpful to pull up some examples today? Or do you want to just go do that on your own?
Are you talking about presentations that people have done?
Just messaging. I mean, the messaging can look, some people did flyers, some people did emails. So it's messaging specific to round 2. How have a variety of people messaged round 2 saying, hey, we have a match?
Yeah, I'm happy to see that.
Okay, so I've got at least 2 head nods to say, let's take a look at those. All right, thumbs up. Great. I want to do what's helpful for you. This, you know, that's one of the big shifts is we did all the training in the past, and this is supposed to be, what do you need for today? It's capacity building for you, not for me to just, you know, try to waste our time or fill our time. All right. So here is, I'm sharing my screen. Who knows what's going to come up? Sorry about that. I'm going to try to get to it when I don't have my big thing. All right. So in granting, the area was in the, I think you guys just have this micro grant resources. This is what will come up. And in round 2, there's a lot of different examples of messaging. So you can see all that are there. I'm going to jump to one of my favorites. This was one of the, I mean, I don't know that I call it a favorite, but it's a simple example. They worked long and hard. These guys struggled, you know, in trying to figure out what we're doing and how we're going to do it. Oh, I don't think I actually pulled up the one I thought I did, but yeah, this is a great one too. This is not the one I was thinking, but so this is a flyer. And let me again say, you don't have to have a flyer. So they took their messaging, handed it to somebody, and they said, hey, let's have something we can give to people. But this is their, you know, the Hope and Care Partners. That's what they named their monthly donor group. So become a monthly donor. So they gave it a name as a monthly donor program. The organization, or actually this is a sub-organization of a large organization, but Pursue Life Adult Ministry is the ministry. They provide hope and care to aging adults. So they're giving a little bit on who they are, how you can help. And then that bold thing is even bigger because of a matching grant. And they went with a pictorial version. 10 months committed by their target was the end of November because Giving Tuesday didn't go off into December. And so they gave a picture of what that could look like. So they made it super simple to go, we're looking for 10 monthly donors. And because actually for them, they only had 2 when they started it. So for them, any monthly donors they had would be new. So for that, they were looking in that way. And so they just have information here. They have a connection, a website, and when it said dash monthly, that opened up their giving page that highlighted Hope and Care partners. So you can see this is pretty simple. This is not a complicated example of how to do any super big messaging. It gives somebody an idea of what are you trying to do? Okay, the one that I was going to do is Table of Makers of Care, Mercy Ministries. I think it was this one that I was thinking. These are guys that struggled. Let's see if it'll come up. All right. All right, so Mercy Ministries, their goal was 33 new donors. I don't know where they came up with 33, I can't even remember, but will you be one of our 33? So really good question they just asked, and that was part of kind of all of their emails and their messaging they talked about was, will you be one of our 33? Join us for a grant matching opportunity. Your monthly partnership by November 30th will double its impact. So notice you have a deadline in your communication. You've got to focus on new monthly partnership and that they can double their impact for why they want to give, they're going to double it. So here's the information they put together. Friends of Mercy Ministries have generously offered to double new monthly partnerships up to $8,000 for the first year. For example, a $20 a month becomes $40 for the first year. Wow. You can tell they're really donor focused in their communication here. And, you know, she did the monthly, I said, so what's the number you want to give as an example? You know, and why 20? You know, she's like, I don't know if people who have $20 are going to give to us. So her faith was at 20. You know, some people have said, give an example at 40. I mean, just follow what you feel is like the right example. There's no magic in there, but you don't want to make it seem like it's too high for people. They can always go, I can do more than that. That's cool. Join us as one of our 33 monthly partners. And then will you help provide an affordable, so this is what they're going to get from their monthly donor thing, providing affordable biblical counseling for our community to help to break the cycle of poverty and brokenness for years to come. Simple 1-sentence impact statement. Because monthly donors, they're looking for, what are we doing here? What are we doing this for? I know you need my money, but why? What are we going to accomplish? And the fact that it's matched for an entire year, for a lot of donors said, okay, this is a good time for me to take action on something I might not have done. Okay, questions or comments about either of these examples? Is this helpful to see some of what is in writing? It helps me to know if it's helpful for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Heather, and I appreciate you walking through what you like about it. That helps. So
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Good. Here's an email messaging. This is a little different. Have any of you put together like a video about either your program that you want to use to draw people to what you're doing, or about your monthly donor program or anything? This is something you can consider. And Aim Right has been around in Phoenix for a very long time, but this is a new CEO, new executive director that came in, And he had never done fundraising, so he's trying to figure all this out. He did a phenomenal job. He kept it simple. So here he's like, we've been chosen. And Jonathan has said that so many times. You know, that was his big email thing. Everyone likes to know you've been chosen for something. So we've been like, he used the language of micro grant. A lot of times we don't encourage that because people don't know what a micro grant is. They just know it's a match. We've been a recipient of a grant or of matching dollars. So try to think of, what do people understand? You don't want to create a barrier. But it worked for him. So it's not like it's doesn't kill it. But the grant is funding a new shade canopy and a concrete slab for our campus. It's already been provided and the new space to engage more youth. So they actually went and bought it and did it before they got the money, because summer was coming and, they needed it. So somehow they had the money to do it. I don't know how that worked, but we still need new donors to meet our goal to completely match the grant. Our giving page is the easiest way to contribute, match the grant. So he gives a picture of what he was going to do. And then this is really one of the things that I'm giving a view of what's different is he is emphasizing his monthly donor program is called The Block, because he is downtown Phoenix in a square block area. They focus on that particular area of underserved youth and how they're providing their service. So they call them The Block. So his monthly donor group is called The Block. Become a monthly supporter, join The Block. Monthly supporters have sustained Aimrite for over 30 years. Click on the video below to find out why now is the perfect time to give monthly and to join the block. And I think there's actually a live link on this, or it might be on the other example I have in there, where you could actually look at his video, a minute and 40 seconds, maybe, or maybe a minute and 20 seconds. I don't remember, but it's super short, but it's to the point. And he's saying, what are we about? And it's very personal. So that for him, this helped give face to it. Actually, here it is. So here's his YouTube. You can go on here and click on that. Jeff is more than glad to give you feedback on what you're doing. He has been a mentor for different people in the micro grant. It really kicked him off as a fundraiser. And he's been doing, ever since then, a number of, at least once a year, a campaign to build his monthly donor group. So that's a good example of that. Okay, again, any questions on matching? I mean, on messaging. This one's an interesting one, very different messaging than anyone else that has ever done this, but they said, they gave this image, this picture in their email. So I kind of tried to piece together their email, but it was, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to God, to Father who's in heaven. So they put that out there. They, had my name in it, because we asked people, when you do stuff, if you send emails, send it to Jonathan and I, put us on your list so that we see it. And we actually have encouraged people, once they start doing this messaging, share it with each other. And that's why I have all these, is because micro grant people share what they're doing. This guy says, imagine if you could turn $29 into a 10 grand. So this group did, and this was in the very first year. And a lot of people in that first year decided to do what you were talking about, Kelly, is kind of pick a number for everybody. And we had a lot of stats that came in the next year in 2022 in monthly donor programs to not do that. So we really emphasized it in 22 and 23, not to give a spread. So instead of just 29, we now say for as little as $29 a month, can you turn that into 10? His first sentence is great, but then $29 a month contribution will be matched for the first year. That impact will ripple into a world who more than ever needs addiction ministry like Hope for Addiction. The reality is, here's some stats. So that's the problem. We need more people like you to join the mission. And if there's one thing that's out there, it's to say you want people to hear your problem and go, people like us do things like this. And so that's what they're saying here is we need people like you to come and be a part of this with all new monthly donations being matched for the first year. I want to personally invite you to double your impact and become an agent of hope. So their monthly donor program is called Agent of Hope. And this round, you're telling people you can double your impact. Your gift goes twice as far for the whole first year. It's matched for the whole first year. That's the language you really want to capture. So becoming a monthly donor, you will provide a steady foundation to expand our reach, deepen our impact for those who desperately need hope. When $29 becomes $10,000, our wish list at Hope for Addiction has an opportunity to be granted. That's why our team has set a bold goal to welcome 15 new agents of hope to our community. Will you be one of them? Accept the mission here. So this is an email, you can take the same ideas and turn it into an individual ask, but this is an example of how an email blast went out and said, okay, here's our wish list. So this is what they included in their non-consumables. They're going to complete Spanish translations. They're going to do a video series. So these are the things they bulleted that were on their non-consumable list. So they called it a wish list. So they're speaking to the donor and saying, here's what we want to do. And man, if we could get these people, here's what we can do. So some of these examples that are in here are emails. Some of them are a flyer. And then I'm going to look at one more, and that is a newsletter. So this was the same group that the very first one I pulled up for you. They, had a flyer, but then, all of us have our regular communication. They said, okay, how do we include it in there? So this is their newsletter that went out. Wasn't the top thing on here, but everyone's going to get it. But you can see here, make a difference by becoming a monthly donor. Your support will make an even bigger impact because of the matching grant. Our goal of the grant is to help secure 10 monthly donors by this date. And here's a visual image for it. So this can go out in individual asks. And this is what, I was talking to Daniel and Tatiana about their plan for round 2, and especially in October. What do you want to accomplish this month? And to say, is it your individual asks that you want to do? Like Kim, you were talking about going and sitting down, talking to people, and then start to do some of your email blasts. Do you want to do some social media? How are you going to how are you going to deal with at least October's plan? How do you want to go out and make this known? Put it in your newsletter, put it on your website. There's an example in the folder I was just in that is a pop-up that gives people an opportunity. And actually that pop-up added another layer because the executive director is also a chef. And he said that the first, 10 people that are monthly donors also go into a raffle, no expense, go into a raffle that will receive, I think it was a dinner date with a chef cooking a free meal. So he even dangled something. And you can dangle merch if you have a t-shirt, you're going to give away t-shirts to the first 10, stuff like that you can use as a motivation. All right. We are right at that edge of the hour. Are there any other lingering questions about or pain points you feel about stepping into round 2? What do you most need right now from Jonathan and I? Think about that. Just if you've got something, type it into the chat. What do you most need right now? Kind of stepping into this. Is it help with messaging? Is it, I need to really think about my monthly donor? Because you've got 2 months. So do not feel like you have to all of a sudden start acquiring and get your emails out today. You've got time. There is not pressure right this minute to, do it, but you could start practicing and doing some individual invitations. you could send out an email and go, hey, boom, we've got this, and here's our time frame, here's our deadline. Your first intro email to a granting period that you've got. So what is your greatest need? Is it messaging? Is it looking at email content? Is it talking about a monthly donor program and maybe naming one, or looking at what that could look like for you? I'm looking for anyone typing in the chat. We don't know what we need.
I'm just, Heather, just like I leave Monday for Jordan, and so I'll be overseas for 2 weeks. And so I'm trying to think of what do I need to set in place. I'm trying to set up this week meetings for when I get back, and not just like one-on-one meetings, but like group, get like desserts kind of thing. And so I think that's the biggest stressor for me, is like, I feel like I'll feel behind by the time I get back. But when I get back, I feel like my gatherings can be updates on what's happening in the Middle East. And I think that is helpful. So
Yes. Yeah, and Tetjana and Daniel are the same. Daniel's gonna be gone a month and he leaves October 17th. So the question is, what can you realistically do now to help yourself be ready when you come back? You have time. And because you are going and doing what you do, it is a beautiful time to say, hey, I'd like to have an update, and I'm going to share some exciting news about how God is opening up doors for funding. And so you're prepping when you're going to come back, and getting that beforehand is great. And email blasting, I think, is much more effective. You know, you can begin something now and kind of kick it off, or you can wait until you get back and then really make, November that time where you go, all right, we're going to carry people through this. We're kind of kicking off the year-end season and going, we've got some exciting news. People believe in us. We've been chosen. We are going to match this. We're going to accomplish this. This is what can happen. And you do need to trickle that communication, because there's a lot going on at this time of year. And you have the ability to go, here's an update, here's what's happening over there. So it is impact oriented, not just money oriented. So I think you've got a great, even though it feels tough, it's not a bad deal. And yes, you can, outline it for yourself in a very breathable way and go, I can do this. And that's what we did. Daniel and Tetjana and I sat down and kind of got email 1, 2, or, this, we're going to talk to these people, do that. And they look much happier today because they looked stressed the other day. No, they didn't. No, but I think it does help to just kind of outline that. Do you guys feel like it helped you to outline? Did it just kind of reduce a little bit of pressure?
Yeah, I think partly because our timeline is unique, and that I'm going to be out of the country because we're missionaries, so I travel and teach, and it is right in the middle. I mean, it was scheduled before we even got accepted to this, so I'm in Europe, so we were trying to. I think that's trying to schedule people face to face is not hard. It's just time consuming, and people work, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think that even figuring out how, like, I love this idea of the monthly team thing. That's a great idea moving forward. I think we'll move towards that in our messaging in general as a nonprofit, because it's just healthy. We already do it individually, but I think to do it in that way will grow monthly giving. But I think that, like, to figure out how to do messaging, like the examples you showed, and figuring out our Zephy form, and figuring out all those nuanced things with the actual grant, or with the matching piece for round 2, to have it complemented with the email blasts. That for me was like, I thought it was going to be one or the other. So to have both was really helpful for me in planning, and that's what I need to work on, is having them complement one another.
Yeah. And it's layering it, not feeling like you have to do everything, but going, when's the right time to do these things? And they naturally can go together. So I do highly recommend go and watch that monthly donor training we did online. It's gold. I mean, if I could do one thing to teach nonprofits, it's that. And Lindsay was in it, so she's nodding. That's good.
Super
Yeah.
helpful.
And we're not talking, it's not about me. I mean, we all are learning this. It's so valuable. And it is one way to really make your life easier, because then you have a focus group. And if you go, monthly donors are one thing, major donors, people that give you $2,000 or more. Jonathan uses $1,000. I use two, just, it's a different preference. It's not a right or wrong. Every organization defines it for themselves. I go two because I want to separate monthly donors that can give up to 100. It's not uncommon anymore for people to give $100 a month to a monthly donor program if they're really committed. Usually it's 25 to 50 is a more average number, but people that are committed, they'll give 100, even 200. So I look at those people kind of like, that's my monthly sustainers. But then you have your major donors and you have a strategy to communicate with them. And then these one-off people, that's not where your majority of your time needs to be spent. You want to help those one-off people become monthly donors and go, hey, you're 150 a month, 150 a year would be better if you actually gave me $10 a month that I could plan and budget, or $20 a month, which means they're increasing their gift over a year. It's doable for them and it gives you more money in the end and on an ongoing basis, and they'll stay with you longer. You don't have to come back next year if you take care of them and re-raise that, because now you're in a group and you continue to communicate to that monthly donor group like you are an important group. So it takes a little bit of time to do it, but it is well worth the return on investment on that. And so Jonathan and I we're glad to talk with you about that. Don't hesitate. You guys are probably the quietest group we've ever worked with. It's like we have to knock on your door to go, hey, we're here. We're willing to talk with you about it. Sitting down and looking at someone's giving page and go, hey, that's great. This is great. I'd encourage you to make it more visible above the fold so people don't have to hunt for it, or, this and that. So finding these different things that can make it, tweak it. And there are groups that do research that say these tweaks can actually make anywhere from 28%, meaning people fulfill their giving, versus, the standard is 80% of people go onto your giving page, they don't give. I don't know why that number is so freaking high, but it really is. Why do people go to a giving page and not give? If you go to a giving page to give, there's not that many people like me that just go look at your giving page to learn from it. But why do people abandon that? And if it can increase it by 28% to do a small tweak, or up to 460%, that's the kind of things that we have learned that makes a difference on a giving page or a forum when people go on there, because donors get frustrated easily. And if you make them expend mental calories that they don't want to expend, they quit. And that's what all the research says. So we are glad to help you with those kinds of things to just tweak it. So if that means in the next month, we'll have a check-in somewhere in the middle of this month, but this is not a month where it's heavy. It's just this meeting, one check-in, and then we'll meet next month. So don't hesitate to set up a contact time with your coach at least once every 2 weeks. And, lean on us, ask us for some help, ask us to brainstorm with you or to review something, whatever you need, we want to help. We want you to be successful and not feel the weight. We want you to enjoy this and go, holy cow, this is much better and easier than I thought it was going to be. So go take your 2 weeks, enjoy it, Kelly. Take your month, Daniel and Tatiana, keep your family together. And don't stress about it. God's got you. He knows, he knew before all this happened. So it will happen. You've got 2 months and you've got time. All right. Wrap it up. No more lingering, pressing questions. Quiet group. Jared, you're silent the whole time. You're on mute. I don't even believe you're there, but we see your pretty picture. There he is. That was a moment. Well, and I think Daniel's gonna go hunt you down because, he's got questions on some Zephy things, or if he hasn't already, he might have already hunted you down, but. All right, any prayer requests for anybody? Something pressing heavy on your heart? Jordan, the Middle East.
Funding, but it's not super safe right now. So just for safety, and I mean, it's not, is very safe. The region is just kind of chaotic.
Yeah. Same for Daniel. He's headed to Ukraine, right?
There, so
Sorry, say that again. I talked over you.
I'm not even the only, like, that's in this group. I'm much lower stress than.
Yeah. Well, let me just pray. We'll close and we'll finish up here. Lord, I thank you for each of these individual leaders here, the ministries that you've raised up through them. But I pray that you would just encourage them today. Encourage them in the calling you've called them to. That you see them, you hear them, you know the weights that they carry as leaders. You know the things that give them joy and energy and the things that drain them. Father, I pray that your Holy Spirit would just lift them up, infuse them with your power, your joy, your energy, that they might go and to do and to be what you've called them to do and to be. And Lord, that this process of engaging with donors would be as spiritual, as rewarding as they feel when they are sitting there in front of those people that you've called them to serve. Because the truth is that you've always said that the wealthy has a hard way for them to get to heaven. So Lord, the ministry that they have to those that have resources, whether it's just an American middle income family to wealthy, God, we know that there's weights with those people. So I pray that the ministry that you've given them in this grant would bring joy to them as they see you working. Go before them in all their activities, their meetings, with clients, with donors, in their communication, in their building. Lord, I pray your blessing on them today, your rich blessing on them, that they would know that they are sons and daughters, beloved of you, that you enjoy them, you love them, and you promised you will never leave them alone. Bless them in Jesus' name. Amen.